What is hell? Is it a place of eternal conscious torment? Is it a place you go to when you die that you're just tormented and suffer forever and ever? Or is there something more to this? As we unpack tonight's video, find out the true meaning of what hell really is here on Sons of God Ministries. What's going on, you guys? How you doing tonight? God bless you. Thank you for coming to Sons of God Ministries here on this YouTube channel. Make sure to go ahead and hit the notification bell for future videos, and go ahead and hit the like button. That way the algorithm will push this video out to more and more people here on this YouTube channel. So guys, tonight we are going to be talking about something very important, something very detrimental to the understanding of the biblical scriptures, of just life in general. But before we get into the meaning of what hell is, we need to unpack a couple of things. We need to break a couple of things down. I'm very excited to teach this message tonight. I've been thinking about this for the past couple of days. Tonight we're going to talk about hell. Then next week we're going to talk about heaven. If you guys have noticed the way these videos have gone, we started at the end of the Bible, then the beginning of the Bible, then we talked about manifestation of the tongue. Now we're going to talk about the states of the mind. Uh-oh, I think I just gave it away. All right. So, as we start this video tonight, if you guys would like to support this ministry, make sure to go to the PayPal link that is actually linked here on this YouTube channel to go ahead and support us. We do not believe in tithing. Tithing is giving 10% of the subconscious mind to the right-hand side, the right brain hemisphere, whereas charitable giving is much needed, especially in this ministry. And if you feel like this ministry has been a blessing, think about supporting us. So, as we get started tonight, we have to unlock and unpack some very deep things. And guys, first and foremost, what we need to do, we need to begin at how do we get to the point of where we're in a state of a mind of hell. And the first and foremost thing is this, is that reincarnation is true. You do reincarnate. The Bible is full of it. In Jeremiah 18, verse 1 to 4, in Revelation chapter 3, verse 12. And matter of fact, what we can see here is even in Job chapter 1, verse 21, it talks about the reincarnation aspect as well. Okay? But once you are in the reincarnated state, what ends up occurring? You're a baby. You come out of your mother's womb, the matrix. You come into this world, which is also known as the land of forgetfulness. How do we know that this is the land of forgetfulness? Because in Psalms 88:12, King David says that God, will your wonders be made known in the dark, and will your righteousness be made known in the land of forgetfulness. Righteousness being known in the land of forgetfulness. What is this talking about? Well, the land of forgetfulness is this world in which we live in. We know this because Jesus even says to his own disciples in John 16:13 that the Holy Spirit shall bring all things back to your remembrance. Bring all things back to your remembrance. You think he was talking about the remembrance of the 3.5-year ministry that he had with his disciples? He was talking about something much deeper. He's talking about past life regression. He's talking about a state of mind that you had before you entered into this existence. You see, when we enter into the existence of this world, we forget everything. But through time, through tribulation, through trials, we start to remember and understand what is really going on. But I want you guys to notice something here. A child is actually closer to the truth than a full-grown adult. Why? Because they were closer to the presence of the pleroma in that time as they were starting to get older. But as they got older, they started being brainwashed into this world. This is why Jesus sits there and says, it's better for someone to tie a millstone around their neck than to offend one of these little ones. You offend one of these little ones, you offend them with, it's not only talking about physically, it's talking about spiritually. Spiritually actually plaguing someone's mind, a little child. That's what these religious leaders do. They plague their mind by telling them, oh, you better listen to what I have to say. You go ahead and better believe in Jesus Christ, or else you're going to go to hell. You're going to burn in an eternal pit of fire forever and ever. The Pentecostals like to do that. I grew up in it. I understand it. I know it. 3-hour church services talking about hell. Hell, hell, hell. Eternal fire and brimstone that you're going to go to if you don't believe a certain way. My friend, even before you get to that place called hell, you're already placing yourself in a state of hell already. I'm not saying that this place of eternal torment is real. What I'm trying to say is this: by believing it's real, you already place yourself into a mindset of eternal torment. Okay. You see, the Bible makes it clear, and Jesus makes it clear, that the kingdom of heaven dwells within you. If the kingdom of heaven dwells within you, is it possible that the kingdom of hell can dwell within you as well? Absolutely. You know, the kingdom of hell is a state of darkness, okay? Could we agree that light would be heaven, darkness would be hell? We see this within the words of Jesus Christ in Matthew chapter 8, verse 11 and 12, when he says, many will come from east and west and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Yet the children of the kingdom shall be cast out, where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth in outer darkness. That outer darkness is the kingdom outside of you. When you try to make these things physical, you actually create a kingdom of darkness. When you make it spiritual and something internal, then it becomes a kingdom of light. Jesus makes this clear in Matthew chapter 23 and his 7 woes unto the Pharisees, that he says this, that you are full of dead men's bones on the inside, whitewashed as a sepulcher on the outside. I want you to think about that. They are whitewashed on the outside. They looked perfect on the outside, but on the inside, they are full of dead men's bones. Bones that are not renewed, bones that are not living. You can only live when you understand and know who operates within your temple. Yes, that's right. God doesn't dwell in a temple made by human hands. Howbeit the Most High never dwelt in a temple made by human hands. Acts chapter 7 actually says this. Stephen, when he's getting ready to be stoned before the Sanhedrin, before the religious leaders, he actually says this very thing. So if the Most High does not dwell in a temple made by human hands, but he dwells within your temple, that's where God dwells. God dwells here. God doesn't dwell in something outside of you. This is why Jesus says in Matthew 8:11 that many would come from east and west and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, yet the children of the kingdom would be cast out. Why? Because Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob only knew the Melchizedek order. They didn't know the Levitical priesthood of the Mosaic covenant. The children of the kingdom were those who received the kingdom at Mount Sinai in Exodus chapter 19, verse 6. But because of their idolatry of worshiping the golden calf, they were kicked out of the kingdom, and they made it physical and fleshly. So can we agree to say that if light is heaven and darkness is hell, then we can sit there and say that spirit is heaven, flesh is hell? Okay? So now, if we can understand this and know this, then we can begin to realize and know what hell really is. Hell is fleshly thinking. Hell is thinking that is dominated by some man coming back and saving you in your flesh, to save you from physical death, to save you from something physical when you already had the power of Christ within you to begin with. When you take these things and you make it fleshly, it is an adversary to the Spirit. It is an adversary to the new covenant words of Jesus Christ himself. You know, Buddha actually said the same thing as well. Buddha actually said that if a man would actually silence his mind, inside that's where he would find God. That's right. You see, these enlightened masters over the centuries, over the years, from the Bhagavad Gita with Hare Krishna and Siddhartha Gautama or Buddha, to even Muhammad, or even the prophets of the Old Testament, or Jesus Christ himself. These were all enlightened masters that were actually used by the consciousness of divine deity, and they knew that everything began internally. Yes, that's right. Even the Quran is an internal book. You have the Sunnis and the Shiites. The Shiites are more radical. The Sunnis are not as radical. But then you have another sect called the Sufis. Sufis study Sufism, which is esoteric Islam. That's what we study here, esoteric Christianity. But esoteric Christianity is true Christianity. But it goes back to everything, because everything starts on the inside. Jesus makes this clear. It's not what's on the outside that defiles a man, it's what's on the inside that defiles him. If you don't understand that this is an internal message, you're never going to understand the truth. So hell is darkness, but darkness is also a lack of knowledge. So when you have a lack of knowledge, you're in hell. Did you know that? That's right. Hell begins as a state of mind. The projection of that state of mind into your words, your emotions, your thought patterns create your circumstances around you. Just like we talked about last week on the tongue given life or death. You speak death into this world, you're going to get death. Take my word for it, you will get death. All right? That's just the rules and the laws of this universe, okay? If you have a job and you sit there and say, oh, poor me, I want a better job and everything, the universe doesn't respond by giving you a better job. The universe responds by that frequency of sitting there saying, well, he's in a poor me syndrome. Let's just roll with it. All right? Until he or she wakes up. All right? You have to wake up. You have to realize that these things are an internal reality and truth even before you can manifest it physically. All right? Jesus says in Matthew 23:26, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites, cleanse that which is the inside of the cup and the platter, so that the outside may be cleaned. If you don't clean the inside of the cup and the platter, you're never going to understand the reality of this truth. You're never going to understand how you are a fractal piece of God. You sit there and you beg God, a God that sits on a white throne and judges over humanity, just like you think, but you don't realize that God dwells within you. This is where God dwells. The kingdom of heaven dwells within you. But if you have a lack of knowledge, you are a kingdom of hell. All right? People want to sit here and say that, oh, you're going to go to hell if you don't believe that Jesus Christ died on a cross. You're going to go to a place of eternal conscious torment if you don't believe a certain way. My friend, by that mentality, you are already living in hell. Because by you pointing your finger at the people, you have 3 fingers pointing back at you. All right? The kingdom of God dwells within you. Let's get into some more verses here about hell. All right? King David makes it clear in Psalms 139 that, behold, if I ascend up to heaven, you art there, God. But if I make my bed in hell, you are still there. Why? You know, people sit here and say that hell is a place where you're eternally separated from God. But according to King David, he says that even if he made his bed in hell, God is still there. Why? Because God doesn't separate himself from you. God can't separate himself or herself from you, the divine masculine and divine feminine. It can only be covered up through a shadow of darkness. This is why in this world, our bodies cast shadows. It is a shadow that walks in the valley of death. That's right, you live in the valley of death. You live in hell because your state of mind has already created hell. The collective consciousness lives in hell because their mind has already created a state of hell. Religion has created a state of hell. Jesus said this. That's right. Matthew 23, verse 15. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You will compass seat and land to make a proselyte, and you'll make him a twofold son of hell than what you already are. The Pharisees, the religious leaders, would actually go ahead and create a proselyte, create someone that would follow their law physically, fleshly, adversarially, and through it, that convert would become a twofold son of hell than what they already were. Why? Because hell is not some place that exists on the outside of you until it manifests within you. Psalms 9:17 says it like this: the wicked turn themselves into hell. The Hebrew word is Sheol. It is the grave. So the wicked turn themselves into the grave, and the nations that forget God. Why is it that we have a pairing here of the wicked turning themselves into the grave or hell, and the nations that forget God? The nations forget God because the nations think that God is some man that dwells on a throne up in yonder heavens when they don't believe that God is within them. They don't understand that God is within them. And it's because of their lack of knowledge that they don't understand that God lives within them. They don't understand that they are a fractal piece of the same God that had created this world. I said this last week, that God is in the birds of the air, the animals, the grass, the trees, you and I, everyone. In actual reality, when I'm talking through this camera and you're going to listen to it, it's because I'm talking to a fractal piece of myself. We are all a piece of God actually experiencing this world. That's what we are. So when it says in the Bible in Psalms 9:17, the wicked turn themselves into hell and the nations that forget God, what this is actually saying is that you turn yourself into hell because you forget God. The wicked turn themselves into hell or the grave because they forget God. And by you creating hell within your internal being, you will project hell into your outer being, creating the circumstances and the surroundings around you. And this is scientific as well, because in actual reality, our body is made up of water and electromagnetic energy. That electromagnetic energy that actually operates in your mind, that frequency will actually hit the DNA, the nucleolus of your cells, lowering the frequency within your body or raising the frequency within your body to create your surroundings around you. If you do not believe this, then you don't understand epigenetics, talked about by Bruce Lipton. He was actually an atheist at one point in time, but through the studies of DNA, genes, the manifestation of the tongue given life or death, he actually became a believer in God. That's right. You see, the truth of the matter is this, my friends, is that everything you do in this life has repercussions. Everything you do in this life will operate through a reality of truth or operate through a reality of deception. As we end tonight's broadcast here on What is Hell, and understanding that it begins as a state of mind, I told you at the beginning of this broadcast that reincarnation is true, spoken about in the Bible. Jesus even talks about it. In Matthew 25:41, he actually says that those who are on his right-hand side will come into the eternal kingdom. This is the sheep that are going to go into the eternal kingdom. Those on the left-hand side, which are the goats, they will go into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. The word eternal fire is not justified through our English translation. Eternal fire in the Greek means aeonian kolossus, age-abiding chastisement or correction. Age-abiding chastisement or correction, the eternal fire that is being spoken about, is talking about coming back to a place of correction, coming back into this world to learn lessons and to become a better person. That's right. Revelation 3:12 says that no longer shall they go out to those who overcome, but they shall become a pillar in the temple of my God. The Bible is telling you the story of your evolution, your soul evolution. But only through your knowledge and the understanding of having a deeper, higher reality of knowledge can you come into the gates of heaven. Until then, you will stay on the outside of the gates. You will stay where the religious are, where the weeping and gnashing of teeth is, where the outer darkness is, because you don't understand that everything begins internally before it can manifest externally. Guys, I pray that this was a blessing for you tonight. I pray that this helped you. I pray that if this helps one person out there tonight, I have done my job. All right? I love you all. All right? If you guys would like to support this ministry, like I said at the beginning of this broadcast, think about go ahead and give into this PayPal. All right? On the channel under the official page here in the link. Okay? If that's something you guys want to do. If this has been a blessing to you and you have really enjoyed this, please make sure to go listen to the other videos. Go check them out. Go look at this. Guys, we're not even skimming the surface right now. Okay? I'm building the foundation here. Okay? I'm trying to program your minds. Okay? It's not even me doing it. It's God doing it. All right? It's God doing it. I'm not saying I'm a perfect man by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not saying I'm a good man by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just a man that seeks after truth. Okay? I have issues in my life. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that I'm some man that is holier than thou. No, not at all. I still drink. I still cuss sometimes if I'm pissed off. All right? I'm not anyone special. I'm just a man that has seek knowledge. All right? You see, they say that love is the frequency of God. But you know what is higher than even the frequency of love? Authenticity. Be your authentic self. When you're your authentic self, that's when it's going to naturally happen with you. Okay? So this is what hell is. Just a recap. Hell begins as a state of mind. It's because of the lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:6 says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. Jesus says in Luke 11:52, woe unto you, scribes and lawyers. You hide the keys of knowledge, gnosis. You don't allow people to enter in. Neither you go in yourselves. Okay? So hell begins as a state of mind. The state of mind will manifest into your physical on a singular level. And on a collective level, when it manifests, it will manifest out into this world as well, creating hell into this world. Which is why when a child is born into this world, they are born into the land of forgetfulness. But through the Spirit of God, God will bring back the remembrance. You know that God doesn't send you to an eternal pit of hell. You know that God isn't some man that dwells in yonder heavens that judges over humanity. You know that God doesn't do any of this. This is child's play. And it's time to grow up. It's time to stop partaking of milk and start partaking of the meat of the kingdom of heaven. Because that's where we need to go. That's how this world's going to transform. That's how this world's going to wake up. That's how we're going to take dominion over everything once again, like we once did. So guys, I pray that this was a blessing. I pray that this helped you tonight. God bless you. I love you all. Have yourself a lovely evening. In the name of the Father, the Holy Mother, and the children. See you guys soon.